It's not a great day for wrestling as we lost Reggie Parks. If the name sounds familiar, not a wrestler, but he did design most of all of WWE's championships back in the 80s.
Yeah, yes. Parks did start out as a wrestler in 1958 for Stampede Wrestling under Stu Hart,
I
and
didn't know that.
was actually wrestling up until 1986 before retiring from active competition. He was a referee for the WWF uh, after that. That did not last long. Um, However, Reggie Parks is the king of belts, and he's the king of belts for a reason. He made his first belt in 1962 and has made numerous other belts that wrestling fans know throughout the the entire history of pro wrestling. He is responsible for the Winged Eagle WWF Championship that we know so well, that is iconic with Hulk Hogan and the
Even Bret Hart.
yes, the just from that 88 to up all the way up until the Attitude Era. Uh, some other belts he made as well. The WWE, the old WWF World Tag Team Champions with the big red world in the center. The classic Intercontinental Championship. Uh, the the specialized WWF Championship belt that was specifically made for Andre the Giant in 1987 and then was never used again. The
Wow.
WCW Television Championship belt for the AWA, the NWA as well. Uh, Maybe his most iconic title belt outside of pro wrestling is on the cover of the album Hard Candy from Madonna.
Really?
Yeah, she on the cover of that album, she's wearing a wrestling title with a big red M in the middle, and that was Park's design. Um, there's so much that you know, the people. There's so much about the people we don't know about in pro wrestling that we unfortunately don't know until it's
Too late.
too late.
Yeah.
Um, he he had his own workshop that was open to visitors. Uh, he Interestingly enough, he also had a side business as a carpet cleaner.
Really?
Uh, Very interestingly enough, what he wasn't his title belts were involved in a little bit of uh, controversy. He designed a title uh, for the uh, NFL's Cardinals for the leader of sacks. I'm I I'm not sure which season it was. Um, the league looked at it as a bounty, and unfortunately, it was not presented in the same fashion. They saw it as a unfortunate a that would increase the attempt to sack quarterbacks and injure them more. But the belts you see awarded to sports champions, uh, eating contests, the Fourth of July Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut has a number of those belts. The Japanese guy, who I can't remember his name, um, he's just so much. Whenever you load up a WWE video game, you see him in that initial message. Belts courtesy of Reggie Parks and Dave Milliken, uh, his partner. Uh, um, there's there's just so much, and he is truly one of the unspoken icons of pro wrestling. He was inducted into the Cauliflower Alley Club. I believe he's also in the Canadian Hall of Fame as well.
Wow.
Um,
I did not know a lot of that. And I kind of kick myself for not knowing that. And it's like you said, unfortunately, we learn a lot about these people when it's too late. And damn, um, and it seems like it's not just wrestling history. I mean, if you have a winged eagle or an old intercontinental or tag team championship replica in your house, you have a little piece of Reggie Parks. But it seems like he was more than just a part of the world of wrestling. He was a big part of all competitions. No?
yep, he not it's not just pro wrestling history. It's pop culture history. It's sports history. It's every time you see a championship title, you'll know the name Reggie Parks.
And you maybe think we might get a Richie Parks WWE maybe Hall of Fame or a Warrior Award or something like that?
I would think um, I would think he would get an induction. I'm not sure on his what his current relationship was with the WWE um, at this current time, because I know they did switch uh, to other uh, to another designer.
Yeah, but they did WWE did release a statement on Reggie, so if there was
Uh,
any animosities, and maybe it's time to drop
if he, I unfortunately I don't see him getting the Warrior Award. Um, but I do see him either as as a flat out induction, or he's at the top of the legacy class.
All right, and of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to Fox's family and friends. Into a bit of lighter news, maybe even good news. Wow, Women of Wrestling will make its TV debut next year. Is this a big deal, Scooter?
Yes, it absolutely is a big deal. Aside from Impact Knockouts specials, there is yet to be a any sort of full time women's promotion uh, to air on any sort of regular broadcast schedule.
I want to say Shimmer was on Access Channel before Impact came on, but don't hold me to that.
Shimmer had Shimmer did their shows in volumes, so I'm not sure if they had regulated television.
Okay, I got you. But AJ Lee was even announced as one of the executive producers. I find that very interesting, and it could lead to something else. Do you see it leading to maybe an in-ring return?
You know, I'm going to say no because I think, and AJ has made no uh has made no she doesn't hide the fact that she is battling uh mental health issues,
Right.
bipolar. In fact, she and I have something in common. We've both done PSAs for the mental health advocacy website You Are Okay. Um, so I would think she would probably want to stick to just being in that producer role rather than the potential, and I'm not saying it would happen, but the potential drama that could be with having a dual role.
I get what you mean. Um, but seems like she might be dealing with drama anyway. Because Tessa Blanchard was announced as a part of the company, as a part and kind of like I don't want to say face, but one of the more key people leading this company. Um, doesn't really seem like it's forgive and forget from the fans aspect. Is it a smart move to have somebody with heavy allegations on them as the poster child of your company?
Hmm. Uh, it's an interesting conundrum. Also, by the way, AJ is going to be part of the commentary team.
Interesting.
Yes. Um, I've yet to see what the inclusion of Tessa Blanchard uh, and the consequences of that will be, if there are any. Um,
Well, as of right now, she just released the new T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees that says nuclear, and people kind of jumped down her throat immediately.
I mean, were they saying it's pronounced nuclear? I mean, yeah. There's no forgiving, at least by wrestling fans who unfortunately don't don't see, who don't think beyond the information they are presented with. Um,
True. But if I'm not mistaken, she never made any statement regarding the allegations on her. I don't believe there was any, admitting, non-admitting to. She kind of ghosted it. She kind of swept it underneath the rug, so to speak, which made people kind of double down on it.
y- y- yeah.
Let's move on to something else. What what channel? Because it's the CBS Viacom is.
yes, and that is huge. Only because they are behind Disney and Time Warner, which are actually partners now anyway. Uh, Viacom, CBS, they are essentially the second biggest uh, television distribution group. Um, they own CW, uh, and the free Pluto TV platform, uh, which is which will undoubtedly play a role here. Um, Given that it's Viacom and CBS, I wouldn't be surprised if this did air on the CW. I also wouldn't be surprised if it aired on MTV or VH1.
Hmm, yeah. And or if it does air on Pluto, if it does air on Pluto, does that kind of cut the wings out of the momentum that they have?
Well, no, because it won't air first run on Pluto. Uh, CBS just owns that, and there's no guarantee that it will actually air on Pluto. If anything, it
A
will probably
broadcast
start.
channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will start to air on Pluto a year after they build up. My bet, and considering that they have Paramount Plus as a streaming service, and I would I would I would say I'm gonna say definitely it's either gonna be the Paramount Network or it's gonna be Pop TV.
Ooh.
And
Isn't that
Par-
kind of what's the word? Sentencing them to death before they even get to trial?
no, not at all. Um, they could they could actually, if they really want to make a splash, they'll 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 put it on Showtime, because
But
Showtime always has MMA, kickboxing, and
but,
boxing.
but don't you want, like we talked about the NWA? and they were on YouTube. And Kaliko would always say, "Nobody in the world don't have YouTube." If you're not reaching for an audience where it's attainable to everybody, doesn't that kind of alienate?
Well, considering that uh, most of these networks are now part of every cable company. Um,
You know what I mean? Again, NWA is on Fight Channel. And I mean, honestly, since being on Fight Channel, I have not watched NWA Power. You know what I mean?
yes, but more people watch Pop TV because uh, of Big Brother.
Hmm.
They always aired Big Brother After Dark, which always did which always aired after the episode would go off the air, and that would be live from the Big Brother house. And again, maybe maybe they put it on the CW, but CW has already so much uh so many shows that are already watched.
But it's getting lighter. I mean, Supergirl is ending soon, and I mean Arrow doesn't come on anymore, so the
I mean,
CW, I believe, what's it called? The one about the two brothers, that one is ending it or ended already.
yeah, Supernatural.
Supernatural,
Uh,
yeah. But they need content.
uh, if honestly, if it was me, I would probably either air on Pop TV, uh, and then maybe do pay per view style events on Showtime,
Hmm.
because if they can develop that sort of, and that's something we almost had in the 80s, and we haven't come close to it since, is that having a pay per view, which is not essentially a pay per view, but having wrestling on a premium cable channel that nearly everyone who has cable has, and it cuts out that need to sign with a pay per view distributor, and then they have Paramount Plus, where they can put the events on the day after. Because let's be honest, no one is going to buy a uh, subscription to Paramount Plus just on the off chance this promotion starts doing pay per views.
True.
Um, and again, this is all hypothetical.
Right. What are your thoughts on maybe, because it's coming out maybe this time next year, I want to say. Um, why cut themselves short? Why not have the first maybe one or two episodes air on CBS?
Because I can almost guarantee you that it won't air on CBS. CBS CBS is notorious for having their television schedule planned out like to the down to the, so when wouldn't it wouldn't be
I mean,
on
we would be getting into a whole new territory that's not wrestling related if we talked about CBS. But um, it doesn't seem like that may be the case. I mean, regular, broadcasting channels, they're hungry for content. Nobody is, if it's not, live action sports, nobody is really watching those three channels as much as they used to. I mean, there's no, the sitcom is practically dead at this point. So, they might want to try something new. But, we'll see when we kind of get there, no?
Yeah.
I think that will, well, let's talk a little bit about maybe the roster. Who do you see them kind of getting, or already have that maybe we should be looking at?
Hmm. God, who is available? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of deal in place with AEW, because let's not forget that at one point uh, Viacom did own uh, the Turner networks.
Hmm, true,
Um,
but the way
and
I,
then
yeah,
we've seen given we've seen a secondary women's championship spring up in AEW. Um, I I really expect AEW to share their their women's roster, and even you know bring in some of the indie talent that we're seeing on Dark and Dark Elevation. Um, give them a more a more concrete role, and almost like development.
do you, well, obviously they're not going to be competition for WWE and AEW. That's like kind of out of
No.
the question right now. But do you see them being, I don't want to say a developmental talent, developmental, because they are going to be on TV. They the Viacom is gonna, they're investing in this company, so they want it to be, uh what's the word? They want it to be big. I mean, again, not as big as WWE, but maybe not a developmental system where WWE and AEW is going to be plucking their talent in 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm technically, as far as I know, there are still. I'm not sure if these names I'm looking at are still technically connected to women of wrestling. Uh, but they had Jessica Havoc, they had Holodead, they had Malia Hosaka. At one point, they had a lot of one name uh characters as well. They had Amber O'Neil. Um,
Bullet Day. But again, that was when they were just on their own and not, um, you know, going on TV. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I think we'll continue to follow this as it kind of continues. You said it yourself. AEW announced the TBS Championship this week. What are your thoughts on that belt?
um, hmm.
I could start if you.
I mean, some could say that's bullshit. TBS. Ah ha ha ha.
Oh, ha ha ha.
Some could say it's the Big Show Championship.
Ooh, interesting.
Uh,
Yeah.
why name a title for a channel you're not on yet?
Well, they're gonna be.
Have they announced a show for TBS?
A, a Dynamite is going to TBS in January.
Wow, I mean, I haven't seen any sites reveal that news.
It was supposed to be in September, October, but now they pushed it to, I believe, January.
The question is it going to start at 8:05?
Probably not. Um, I honestly I like the idea of the TBS Championship. Um, they didn't go the obvious route and do female tag team championships, which is honestly it's becoming kind of a parody of itself at this point. Um,
Yes.
just two girls together that's not doing shit on TV, make them a tag team, give them a belt. Uh, Not working anymore for me. So it's I kind of see this as the women's equivalent to the Intercontinental Championship. And if they kind of
Yeah.
treat it that way, uh, it might go well. Agree? Disagree?
I just don't like the name. I just don't like the name. I think they could have thought of a better name.
You don't like total the total Big Show Championship?
Highly original, James.
Yeah, whatever.
Um,
Just find
I
it
mean,
ironic
it could
it's the
be.
Turner Broadcast Network that's not technically owned by Turner anymore.
I mean, it could stand for the boob superior. I mean, I know that's very sexist. I'm sorry, women. Please don't cancel me. Um,
Let's uh let's end it here. It's We'll see who wins the championship when it comes to it. Now, a quick word from our sponsors.